Now, India and South Africa are engaged in a test match at the Centurion. And the one bright spark that everyone has been talking about is KL Rahul's performance. In conditions that were very difficult and when India was in a lot of trouble, KL Rahul came in and scored a century. The highlight of his knock was the fact that the 100 came batting at number 6. We'll get you why that's really important a little later, and the patience with which he carried his bat through. Now picture this, the conditions were overcast, the pitch was a little damp and the ball was definitely moving around. Kagiso Rabada was menacing and he had just sent India's best back to the pavilion. KL returns to the test outfit as wicketkeeper-batter for the very first time, and anyone in that situation would be under tremendous pressure, but not KL Rahul. He scripted a very calm and solid knock to stabilize the messy Indian innings. His knock had caution and aggression. So while he did remarkably well to take those ones and twos in the right time, he also managed to accelerate and strike 14 fours and 4 sixes in his knock. The best part about his batting was that he batted with the Indian tail. So he was alert enough to protect someone like a Prasidh Krishna, taking the single so as to get him off strike or face the next over. KL Rahul shouldered the responsibility as a senior batter commendably well. His growth and maturity hasn't gone unnoticed. It's no surprise that the batting coach of the Indian team calls KL Rahul India's man of crisis. KL Rahul was in crisis himself after he got injured during the IPL, or the Indian Premier League, returning to the Indian setup for the Asian tournament, and of course there was a lot of pressure on him to deliver. The team had its own plans and they had a role for each batter. For KL Rahul, it was too bad to bat lower down the order, in fact lower down the middle order. And for someone who has pretty much traversed the batting lineup over the years, KL Rahul grabbed this one with both hands and showed he was ready. Struck a century on his very first comeback game against Pakistan and showed his steady head in great measure at the ODI World Cup that followed. He bailed India out alongside Virat Kohli in their first match against Australia. For someone who has been batting at just about every position, KL Rahul has embraced the team's need of him batting at number 6, basically lower down the order.
Batting in the middle order, what I've realized is that you can't really plan your innings all that much. When you walk in, there's a situation in front of you. The game tells you how you need to play and what you need to do in that time and in that moment. That's what I try to do. I try to walk in with a very free and very empty mindset when I'm batting in the middle order, and then see what the game demands of me, and then try and do my best in that moment.
And he's accepted this challenge across formats that would require different skill, different approach, which is what he intends to do even for his Indian Premier League franchise, the Lucknow Giants. Something he knows will cement his place in the national side across formats. Here's what Sunil Gavaskar, the legendary Sunil Gavaskar, said after that knock at Centurion. He says, and I quote, "I have been watching cricket for over 50 years now, and I can undoubtedly say this century by Rahul has to be in the top 10 of India's test history because it is a different pitch here. A batter would not gain the confidence so easily that he has set, especially with the ball doing anything at any time." One thing is certain, it will be tough to keep KL Rahul out of any side, at least as a batter. In the chaos and madness that is batting in cricket, KL Rahul is that oasis of calm any side needs in its batting lineup. Let's talk about his presence of mind when it comes to keeping, because this test is his first as a wicketkeeper batter. He impressed everyone with his keeping skills at the World Cup. Rishabh Pant's absence was hardly felt. He was quick behind the stumps and he read every ball incredibly well, getting all DRS queries correct. And to think that this is the very same KL Rahul who was criticized heavily and trolled months ago is something everyone is seeing, especially the critics. He spoke about that, in fact, right after the day's play, how all the trolling across social media had indeed bothered him. Anyone who says they are not bothered by social media are lying, he says.
Each person has to find their way. And for me, when I was injured and was away from the game for such a long time, I worked on myself. I tried to go back to the person that I am and worked on how I don't change myself by getting affected by these things. It is difficult to remain true to yourself and true to your personality with so much happening. It is the hardest thing. So that's what I did when I was out of the game. I worked on myself and then worked on remaining calmer and taking care of my head and what happens inside as well.
Now, we spoke about the batting maturity of KL Rahul, the keeping alertness, but it seems more than all of this. It's clear that the cricketer KL Rahul seems to be maturing. His 100 was a historic one. He's one of just 3 Indians to score more than 1 century in South Africa. It's also his second 100 in Centurion, a venue in South Africa that troubles batters the most. But something tells me these things don't matter so much to him. Rather than what his own personal cricketing goals should be, KL Rahul seems to be growing into what the team requires of him. Sounds familiar? Maybe something to do with the name. A Rahul in Indian cricket has to be very, very special.